Hello everyone. First of all, thanks to EA Game Changers for my copy of the pack. This should be the last time I have to disclose that. My review of Discover University comes pretty late as these things go, but I wanted to be sure I'd looked at everything in it and that took time. In the meantime, I did share how things work in other videos. So now that I feel that I can do it, let's review all of the gameplay that comes in this pack in one place. In case you don't care at all what I think about Discover University, and I don't blame you, I'll first talk about the gameplay features and save my opinions for after, unless I feel it's important information. Nearly all of Discover University's content takes place in the new town of Brightchester. There you'll find two separate campuses. University of Brightchester is focused on the arts and humanities, and Foxbury Institute specializes in science and tech. There are a few lots to build on, but they're not exactly spacious. You can choose to live in the new town, which is a tad smaller than it appears because of so much being taken up in devotion to housing students, classes, and activities. You can get around the new campuses in style on a bike if you like. Well, at Brightchester anyway. The bike was mostly useless to me attending Foxbury, but thankfully these can be used in other places and may be very useful to exploring the jungle or on a trip to Granite Falls. The main reason most players will ever be here in Brightchester is when actually being enrolled and living on campus, because to be frank, it's not very noteworthy otherwise. Before you can attend university, you've got this whole enrollment system that lets you apply and get an acceptance letter. To be honest, the only point of applying is to see if your sim will qualify for any distinguished programs. The distinguished versions of each of the 13 degrees you can go for are only available at one school, with the regular as backup if you don't get accepted. It takes 12 courses completed with a passing grade to earn a degree. Players can choose how many courses their sim will take each term, up to a max of 4. Now that I know what I'm doing, it's about the sweet spot in terms of difficulty for me, but the developers planned on 3 courses for a total of 4 terms. A term is 1 week, so you can have a degree in about 3 weeks if you take the full workload. Electives are available for boosting skills not related to your degree, and they do count toward graduation progress. You can pick 1 per semester or go with only core classes. The degrees obviously revolve somewhat around the skills system. This leads us to the core goal of the pack, the ability to earn one of those degrees. Let's be clear that, to a large extent, the journey is what you're buying here. Assuming you're a long-term player, there isn't anything you haven't already done that a degree will unlock. What a degree does is allow you to specifically choose one of a career's higher level branches, starting anywhere from level 6 to 8 most commonly. Your sim will get every special unlock for the levels you skipped in your inventory or the household inventory depending on the item. On top of that, they'll also get a signing bonus. They can actually get 1 of these each week, which could be useful for hopping between careers. From graduation onward, your sim will get more paid time off and larger performance gains, meaning it's easier to get to absurd levels of overmax. There's a distinguished version of each degree that will give you better bonuses, and you can also graduate with honors if your sim has a 3.9 GPA. So there are 4 versions of every degree, regular and distinguished, with and without honors. In order to pay for school, sims can also apply for scholarships based on things like being in scouts or having high skill levels in a few areas or low family funds. If you don't get a scholarship or not enough to cover the cost of enrollment, you can pay for attendance out of household funds or take out a student loan. The loans are very low interest at only like 5%, and at the same time you'll only spend about $5,000 tops with no scholarships. This is for 4 terms. I elaborate on this in case you wonder if Sims has given an option for a more challenging experience. It's extremely lenient, and because of the accessibility of scholarships, most players will have zero trouble paying off the bulk of their loans within a week of graduation. That's a small price to pay for the increased earnings you'll have as a graduate and shouldn't result in struggles for players, especially due to the signing bonus and the high rank you start at. To be blunt about it, it makes the addition of the Repo Man in this pack fairly pointless. The Repo Man could have deserved its own header text here and counted as a feature addition if not for this fact. Dorms with roommates are a new feature of the pack, with a couple pre-existing dorms located on each of the 2 campuses. You're able to make your own dorms with the new university housing lot type, and will need to decide which of the schools that lot belongs to. From there, you can actually go a bit further and specialize the dorm as being for only students in one of the several organizations, or make them male or female only. So fraternities and sororities are not in this, but you can sort of make one. If you're unsatisfied with your dorm, and I'd say you're likely to be, you can freely build with the bb.enable free build cheat. This is a necessity to customize them because the only thing you can really do in dorms is drag things that are draggable around, although there are a selection of draggable objects. Roommates are also a big feature of this pack. The game finally has roommates, whether in a dorm or just someone you shack up with to help pay the bills. Roommates are NPCs, meaning you don't control them, and they can have their own quirks. Some are really helpful and leave food out or keep things tidy and in working order, while others are disgusting and will actively break things and create a mess or a lot of noise. Sounds legit, doesn't it? All in all, finding a good roommate and collecting rent from them can help a lot with managing a household. You only need to assign them a bed. Once you're enrolled, the process of actually going to school means keeping up with class schedules by looking at the careers panel. They reuse this instead of making a new interface for classes. I do dislike this because I can't ever memorize when these classes are, so I'm constantly checking it and I find it really clunky. This will also help you to see if you've done homework or not for each class before its next session, or where you stand on the final you've got to complete before the end of the term. A term is 1 week. Actual attendance to classes is a rabbit hole, while you do see your sim working on things like homework, studying for finals, term papers, and presentations. The system's pretty simple, with your grade being based on whether you did these things for enough hours, with boosts coming from being in a focused mood, and the new study spot lot trait that comes with this pack. When class isn't in session, the campuses have a lot to offer, with both offering research machines your sim can use for a new skill, and the library to study in. Foxbury has robotics workstations, and Brightchester features podiums for debate, though both can access these. There's a student common area with a buffet object you can order food from, or get a quick croissant from the food carts outside. You have to do a good bit of juggling with 4 classes if you actually care about having good grades. Given there are a few other activities on campus that can eat up your time, it may mean there isn't a lot of time for strictly fun stuff. When I attended, I was constantly needing to be doing something, but to be clear, it was a personal choice because I took on the max classes and participated in student organizations later on. Those student organizations I mentioned are another key feature of Discover University. Each campus has a few groups you can participate in. Brightchester has a research and debate guild and an art society for things like figure painting, and Foxbury has a robotics society and study group. The third organization for each school is a school spirit group, which will reward you with a school mascot costume at max rank. Yes, these are one more thing you can rank up in if you care to. Organizations have their own meeting times, and completing tasks and being friendly with other members will be necessary to advancement. All in all, it's very doable to advance with these groups while taking 3 or 4 classes if you manage your Sims time well. I won't spoil it much, but no matter which university you attend, there is a 4th organization option. The Order of Enchantment Secret Society is joinable and offers up several abilities that your Sims can use, including a powerful boost to grades. To get access, you've just got to be a good member and get those ranks up. To get started, look into the main statue on campus and what offerings need to be made to perhaps attract a little attention from this exclusive club. There are very few new Sim activities in this pack centered around objects. For instance, there's a ping pong table where you can either play like a normal person or do a simified version of beer pong. There's also a keg. All of these are simply for fun and don't really do anything. You can, however, attend the university as either an esports gamer or in the school's soccer program. And hitting the max level in this can result in your Sims getting offered a high-level job in one of those careers before they've even graduated. This is only available to students. Your Sim can have fun riding around campus on a bike, but also with the cheap but handy soccer ball object that can be kicked solo or with a friend to burn off a little stress between classes. It's a small thing, but Sims can take skill classes on campus for a fee, whether they're enrolled or not. This can give low-level Sims a great start. If a Sim takes 11 mixology skill classes, they'll get a certification and have the bartender branch of the culinary career open to them. This pack does have a few new careers: engineering, law, and education. You can be a professor, but not that kind of professor. You'll be heading off to the rabbit hole and ranking up the old-fashioned way at times, or choosing to work from home in any of these three careers. The sad thing is, only engineer gets really good unique objects and interactions with its exosuit and helmet rewards, or computer glasses if you go with the computer engineer branch. Discover University marks the return of Servo via the robotics skill, which also lets Sims make remote control quadcopters, toys, and utility bots. The Servo is mostly fully featured, just doesn't have a lot going for it. You can upgrade them to an extent and choose their traits, and they have their own special durability need and a charge meter instead of a plain old energy. You've got to keep them dry, which might be a real pain to seasons owners. Not to worry though, as Servo will join your household and another member can most definitely repair them as long as someone has the talent in robotics to do so. You could even use one of the utility bots to do it if you keep a fixer bot around. The Brave might even move Servo out with a fixer bot of his own to try to keep him alive. These bots can do some light work like repairs or gardening for your Sims, or offer up refreshments and meals to a party. Robotics as a whole can be fairly tedious to pursue due to the need to have all kinds of parts in order to make and upgrade bots. This means you using the order menu from the computer where you'd normally get handiness parts and needing hundreds of them to max out everything. It's a lot of clicking and being roadblocked and needing to go back to buy more parts. A skill that came as a pleasant surprise is research and debate. We didn't really know this was in the pack. This one's focused on learning to learn, and because of that is definitely helpful to students. You can learn it either by using a mirror to practice debate, participating in actual debates, or using the new super expensive research machine you can find in build mode. At high level, you'll do homework faster, study more effectively, gain more skill from reading skill books, and finish term papers and presentations faster. What is more, you can convince Sims to do your bidding. It's a nice support skill, and definitely handy for wrangling roommates. Mini fridges are a new addition in this pack and can have one object stacked on top, either something decorative or a microwave, which I can't recommend for anything other than an emergency. There's a new chest that has its own unique inventory, not shared, meaning you can have several unique ones. These can be labeled to help you store your collectibles however you would like. Aside from that, other objects are mentioned elsewhere here, and there aren't any items that have unique gameplay not attached to robotics or research. They're themed for the most part to decorate a dorm with a few really nice looking objects. Because of the huge CC community, I don't really focus on hair and clothing in packs. But this pack did bring in nose and eyebrow piercings, which people had been asking for. One female hair is the longest to date in a Sims pack, which is pretty cool trivia Play-A-Lot shared with me. There are a few full body outfits and some nice school jackets. You can also get a few outfits from the student organization activities and even unlock the mascot costumes if you're into that sort of thing. I want to share my thoughts on a few things. I was at times frustrated, but I did find the college experience itself to be engaging if a little simple. It's all a time management game for the most part, and you'll earn an A if you do the things for long enough. Discover University takes more time to complete than something like Remote Magic, and that's just to be expected due to the fact you need to attend for 3 weeks and don't get any OP abilities right off the bat. Plentiful potion of plentiful needs. I found Brightchester to be a beautiful town with a decent atmosphere, but it's marred by the visits from other Sims from other packs. If this doesn't bother you, it's not a problem. But I don't want to be in Robot Club with mermaids, and this is a mistake that keeps being repeated. It's not too hard to add new Sims to the game and dress them properly. What they don't seem to understand is maybe I don't care if Bella Goth is there or not. Unless I actively go pursue her, I don't really need her in my game. So my opinion on the setting as a whole is fairly neutral. I don't like the layout of Foxbury due to all the stairs, but Brightchester campus was pretty good. Roommates can be used outside university, and that does have the potential to be fun play. Not having control over another sim, living their life in your home. But in dorms and large numbers, they were a bit repetitive. For example, in one of my videos, multiple violinists showed up in my sim's dorm. And this is frankly due to the fact that there are not nearly as many types of roommates as necessary to make it a dynamic experience in this setting. There are several roommate personalities and quirks, but when you have 8 or so roommates, you're gonna get overlap, and especially if you consider attending multiple times. Everyone will end up with a run eventually that has multiple violinists. Some things are good here, but certain aspects feel rushed or there are rabbit holes where there shouldn't be. Here's a good example. My Sims graduation was extremely bland with one round of cheering that I initiated before they went into the rabbit hole one last time. In sharp contrast, the trailer showed Sims partying in their robes. Overall, once you have a degree or have burned out on that, the 2 new skills, roommate system, and the 3 new rabbit hole careers are the main way Discover University will impact your play aside from the various dorm-centric build items that come with it. The only aspiration included here is a tutorial for completing a degree and getting a job, and the pack featured no traits to help give something to players after the excitement of attending has worn off. In these ways, it felt like Discover University was onto something, and is certainly one of the best offerings of this year if you want your Sims to attend. But it feels like they just didn't have enough time to flesh out the product to make returning to campus for a few more degrees a fun experience. Outside of that, not having some unique and interesting rewards for the law and education kind of hurts the replay value when you're not enrolled, because you kind of already know it's just another one of those, only with a different set of skills needed. Decorative rewards are not gameplay. Certain things just didn't work out, but don't completely ruin the experience, namely the career panel being used this way and robotics. Had they considered it a bit more, I feel they might have done something to improve the systems around robotics to make it less tedious. So everywhere something was good, there's something kind of hindering it, and a little more time might have made a huge difference. They were on the right track, and this could still be improved. Since I see both good and bad here, and my gripes may not matter to you, some people will be happy to go ahead and buy this. But do be warned, if you do not care about being a student, living in a dorm, and living that college life, then this pack is not for you, and I'm sure you already know that. The point is, I am affirming your suspicion that this pack doesn't impact things much outside the world of Brightchester. The content is very narrowly contained to the university experience, and mistakes hinder how well the remaining content can shine. Discover University is something the Sims community wanted desperately for a long time now, and I don't blame them. It's a life sim, and this is a part of life. But I'd rather see players asking for expansion ideas that might actually bring some depth and new types of gameplay. Content that will challenge the developers to improve Sims 4 to bring personality to Sims and make the gameplay a bit more entertaining. If we ask for a product that improves Sim personalities, they'll probably get around to making and selling that, even if they can't do something a lot of us want free of charge, like a traits overhaul. I'd like to see it happen either way. Well, like it or not, those are my thoughts on this pack. It doesn't change the formula, and its existence is to fill a specific desire for the community, to go to college. It delivers something up to that point and then mostly stops. Thanks for watching, and share this video if you really like it, and like it if you like it, and consider supporting us if you really enjoy what I do. I'm sorry I cannot be faster about these, but I have a lot of gameplay to look at, to update my guides, and it takes time to get around to a review because of that. Thank you all for watching, and happy holidays.